Oh, I am extremely excited. With me today is Patrick Kilpatrick. I know that you're thinking you know him from somewhere, and you definitely do, because he has been in a gazillion movies, TV, movies, I mean, you name it. In fact, he has played opposite Tom Cruise in Minority Report, because he was the person who actually arrested him in the movie. He's been in a ton of other movies. In fact, too, you could reach him at Patrick Kilpatrick. In fact, you've been beaten up or jailed by nearly every leading actor on earth that exists. I mean, you have a phenomenal background within movies. How did you even get started? Like, at what age did you say, hey, this is really what I'd like to do and have a career in it?
Well, I'm very blessed because the universe kind of sent me in the directions I was supposed to go. I started out a writer in New York City and wrote for most of the magazines and the ad agencies, and then took a break to write a novel, and because I thought that's what real writers did, was write novels, not journalism and advertising. So destiny put me sharing a house with an actor who was becoming a huge Broadway director. So I wrote a play that got produced in New York, and I became an assistant director and director on and off Broadway, and was asked to join theater companies as the guy who selected the plays. And then when they needed actor, a guy to wave a tennis racket or something, I would do that, and it kind of took off. And I was happy because I was grateful I was away from advertising writing, although I'm grateful for that now. But so it took off. I mean, literally 3 weeks after I started acting, I got a major film from Europe and started doing work. And of course, I still was a writer, so I started writing screenplays in '87 and founded my own company in 2005.
Wow.
And Uncommon Dialogue Films has occupied me in between acting gigs ever since.
Now, I've seen many of the movies that you're in, and first of all, I got to tell you, you just do such a phenomenal job, not only in looks, but then you also have that voice that matches as far as like the characters in it. How do you get into character and being so serious and become that person? Even again, like the Minority Report, I just recently watched it, and where you come and you're arresting Tom Cruise. I mean, it's like you feel it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Every role is a little bit different. I mean, I think I do things a little differently now. You're always there's sort of a research phase. Like, suppose you're playing a serial killer, then you read all the research. But doing it on screen is really not that research, but that enthuses the process. And then I do a lot of improvisational stuff, and I'm grateful the directors usually ask me to do that. I joke around and say I deserve a screenwriting credit for every job I've ever done, because a lot of what I'm saying is I've conjured up. My parents really fostered literacy and education and vocabulary, and I joke around and say coming up with a new word was a way I could avoid being spanked. So I've always been verbal, and I was always physical. I started out in athletics, so I was able to do my own stunts and get a better shot that way. And Tom Cruise and I, you mentioned Minority Report, we were flying 125 feet above Warner Brothers doing our own rocket pack stuff.
Wow.
And then somebody came out from the studio and said, my God, we've got our $60 million guy 125 feet in the air. We got to stop this. So then they brought stuntmen in. But It was a natural evolution for me, which is still going on. It's like writing. I honestly, when I mentor young actors, and I've taught a lot in last 15 years, we always stress writing, acting, directing, and producing as a cross-discipline kind of a thing. Because let's face it, when you first start acting, you're in films that or television shows that might not be so great. So it's really great if you can conjure up your own lines, if you can polish a script. All those cross disciplines are really important.
Now, again, the list of movies that you have been in and shows, I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, your IMDb is pages and pages long. So instead of going through all of it, which was the one that maybe stands out the most and why? You know, is there one that just kind of really maybe a turning point or made such an impact on you?
You know, it's a really insightful question, David, and I want to really thank you for the experience of my first in-person Alliance meeting, and your architecture is all over it, and it's been amazing. Very much like a film experience. Your question is insightful because people ask it often, but the truth is it's kind of like kids. Which kid do you love the most?
Whichever one's behaving at the time.
Right. Which one is returning your phone calls?
Right.
I've gotten something really valuable out of every job, and for different reasons. You know, it's hard to be working with Spielberg or James Cameron or Antoine Fuqua, great visionaries like Nicholas Roeg, but you'll have a little film. Those are big studio films sometimes, and you'll have a little film, but 5 minutes after you're there, you're doing your own driving stunts, you're screaming out an Irish dialect and playing with weapons and improvising your way through it. And so every job has its value. I did a job in Tucson, Arizona years ago and found my dog at Gary Shandling. Do you remember him? Gary Shandling's mom had a pet store in Tucson. Yeah. And I ended up getting Molly, an Irish Terrier, from her. Now, the movie was significant other than just getting my dog, but there's something valuable. I mean, I've done tiny little movies, and you find some emotional thing that is really, really beneficial, not the least of which is you're usually often in very, very beautiful environments like Santa Fe or Arizona or Calgary. So horses, I mean, the horses I've worked with in Westerns have been so memorable.
Have you ever gotten hurt on any of the acting?
I've never really gotten hurt because, you know, doing my own stunts. Yesterday, I don't know if you noticed, I had my shirt out, but the suit I was wearing, like I'm doing a movie right now that I'm directing and producing and acting in called Dying for Living. And I have 15 different suits. Half of them are the duplicates of the first 7 or 8, and they're extra large, so you can put these space age pads everywhere. And there's an old saying, you always fall on the place you don't have a pad. So I have pads everywhere. So it's really by calculation and preparation. And so, you know, we've all gotten bopped. I got my nose smacked in a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. But I've hit people by accident too, and it just happens. It's a breakdown in craft, and you don't really want that, but it happens. It's how you behave when it happens, really.
Sure.
You try to be gracious and just move on and just know that that's part of the game. You get windows exploding in your face prematurely because they set the explosive charge off too fast, and you're just grateful that nobody gets hurt.
Wow.
I've been blessed.
So you mentioned about the Eliances Grand Table,
yes,
which you were at, and you presented in front of hundreds upon hundreds of entrepreneurs and business people and people of all different industries, not including even people online that were watching. What What was your experience like being there? I mean, you had a line as deep as could be afterwards of people that wanted to certainly meet you in that, but how was it experiencing the Eliances community?
Well, my life has a very definitive purpose on a lot of levels, is to elevate other people, and also to bring the projects that my company, Uncommon Dialogue Films, we labor long and hard on them, and like children, they deserve to go to college. So I was anxious to come and to be there, to align with those people that I could serve, giving our long background in entertainment and media, and who could serve us to elevate our projects as we're going down the line. So I was extraordinarily grateful of the seating plan, because I could see that your master puppeteering had occurred, because you sat me right next to the most influential people I could have possibly been placed with for the conversations I needed to have. I was awed by the talent of the people in there. What a brain trust. It's really, you're talking about significant influencers and innovators in a lot of different fields, and a great positive energy that's really devoted to the aspirations of others.
That's
so
right.
I was really enthralled, and I'm on a personal high just from the experience.
Well, we were honored to have you attend. I mean,
The
definitely.
privilege is all mine, honestly.
So tell me about some of the projects that you're working on now. I mean, it's constant. Like, I mean, to be in the field, it's like project after project, but now you're working on a few different projects, right?
Yeah, I always call it curse of a liberal arts education. Even if you're a very busy actor, as I've been for 3 decades, you're always going to have downtime. And I saw early on in LA that the writers and directors and producers were the people who were really influencing a lot of things. So if I'm not acting, I'm writing, raising funding for films, producing, organizing the productions. I have a superb team of people. My wife, Heidi Bright, influences everything that's happening there, and is executive vice president of the company, Uncommon Dialogue Films. I'm very lucky. I have 3 films out, coming out as an actor. Lie Hard, a little light comedy, which is really clever, I think, and that's out. Catalyst, a movie that I did with a wonderful director named Chris Folkens, is premiering in a couple of days. And then I just did a movie with a man named Robbie Moffat, who's a director I've worked with twice before, and called Nessie, which is a family film about the Loch Ness Monster. Robbie, I said to him, what do you have else? Because I have a slate of films that I've written, but I asked him, what else do you have? Most of them are fairly expensive. And so I said, what do you have that we could do for X amount of dollars, $3-4 million? He sent me this script, and lo and behold, many of my projects involve the sea, and this was a perfect project for Arizona, Colorado, or New Mexico. So we elevated the script, we've begun attaching, and we brought it out here to Arizona.
Great.
This afternoon at noon, I meet with the Film Commission head.
That's right.
And I've been working with an Alliance member, Tom Fulcher, for a long time to bring films to Arizona. He's very passionate about it. I filmed a film with Sam Elliott here years ago called The Quick and the Dead, the first one.
Okay.
And it was brilliant. Northern Arizona is magnificent, and it has so much diversity of landscape within about 60 miles of Flagstaff that we hope to bring that film to Northern Arizona.
Oh, that's great. Well, Patrick, if you ever need anybody to play an extra or get shot at or something like that, I'm your guy. If
Well,
you ever need anybody within playing a radio host, let me know too.
Dying for Living has a lot of people that I might take you up on that.
So that's great.
We're
again,
filming that in LA, but
all right.
I'll keep it in mind.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, thank you so much. It's been an honor having you today. Make sure you reach out to Patrick Kilpatrick by going to patrickkilpatrick.com. And of course, you can go to Eliances.com. That's ELIANCS.com. Why, Patrick? Because it's the only place where
Entrepreneurs align.
That's right. Thank you so much. See you later.